Tonight, a rising Republican star caught up in scandal. The missing governor of South Carolina returns with a tearful tale of a foreign affair.
I developed a relationship with what started as a dear, dear friend from Argentina.
I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, cracking down on Medicare fraud. Dozens of people in 3 major cities are indicted in a scheme to file bogus claims and cheat taxpayers out of $50 million. A CBS News investigation, a shift in policy in the war on terror, the U.S. now targeting the Afghan drug lords who bankroll the Taliban. And what's your teenager been up to? This one's been up to the top of the world 7 times.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. Mystery solved. We now know where the governor of South Carolina was and what he was doing, and he wasn't hiking the Appalachian Trail. Mark Sanford, who disappeared without a trace last week, resurfaced today, and the governor, once talked about as a possible Republican presidential candidate, revealed he'd been in Argentina having an extramarital affair. Kelly Kobayea has the latest on this scandal from outside the State House in Columbia, South Carolina.
I hurt her. I hurt you all. I hurt my wife. I hurt my boys. I hurt friends like Tom Davis. I hurt a lot of different folks. And all I can say is that I apologize.
18 minutes, a soft-spoken and often tearful Governor Mark Sanford turns the South Carolina State House into his confessional.
I've been unfaithful to my wife. I developed a relationship with what started as a dear, dear friend from Argentina in just a casual email back and forth, in advice on one's life there and advice here. But here, recently, over this last year, it developed into something much more than that.
The normally reserved governor bared his soul about the woman, but never mentioned her by name.
From a heart level, there was something real.
Identifying her only as an Argentinian with 2 children. His wife, Jenny Sanford, said she asked him to leave 2 weeks ago to, quote, maintain my dignity with the goal of ultimately strengthening our marriage. Today, she was not by his side.
First and only time you've been unfaithful.
Yes.
Sanford immediately stepped down from his high-profile post as chairman of the Republican Governors Association, but ignored questions about whether he'd step down as state governor. In a statement later, he said he'd devote the rest of his term to building back the trust the people in this state have placed in me. That may be tough. Today, he admitted he kept the public and his own staff in the dark. Sanford disappeared from the governor's mansion on Thursday. On Monday, his wife said she didn't know where he was, and his staff said he was hiking the remote Appalachian Trail. But this morning, a reporter from the state's largest newspaper surprised him at Atlanta Hartsfield Airport as he arrived from Buenos Aires.
I spent the last 5 days of my life crying in Argentina.
Critics from within his own party called Sanford's disappearance unacceptable.
You know, the people of South Carolina elected a governor to be 24/7. You know, we as elected officials can't just go off and not be bothered. Our people look to us 24/7.
It had been a contentious few months for the governor, who tried to refuse some federal stimulus money. Sanford lost the battle, but his profile as a fiscally conservative hero soared. He was even mentioned as a possible presidential candidate in 2012.
That rise now has to be considered over. He not only has his personal problems to deal with, but what we saw in his press conference was just the unraveling of a human being before the cameras.
Just a short while ago, the newspaper The State released emails it says are between the governor and his alleged mistress, identified only as Maria. In them, he writes about his attraction to her, saying, "You have the ability to give magnificent, gentle kisses. I feel a little vulnerable because this is ground I have certainly never covered before. Please sleep soundly knowing that despite the best efforts of my head, my heart cries out for you and an even deeper connection to your soul." With Maria responding, "You are my love. I can't redirect my feelings, and I am very happy with mine towards you." Katie.
All right, Kelly Kobayea, thank you. How embarrassing. Meanwhile, Jeff Greenfield is our senior political correspondent. Jeff, this is obviously bad timing for the governor, but it's also bad timing for the Republican Party.
For the second time in a week, you've had a prominent Republican forced to step down from a party leadership post because they had to confess adultery. Governor Sanford today, Senator John Ensign of Nevada just last week, who left his post as head of the Senate Republican Policy Committee. And the two stories kind of feed on each other. It's not 1 + 1 = 2, I think, Katie.
All right, and a lot of this is about 2012 and the next presidential election, who's going to be the nominee. But what is the short-term political fallout from this, Jeff?
I think for the first time, Republicans have seen some vulnerability with President Obama. Some poll numbers make the point. While his approval ratings remain high, some doubts are growing about whether he can control the budget deficit, whether he's spending too much. We've seen poll numbers that suggest independents are losing a little bit of their faith in him because they see him maybe as more of a liberal. But how do the Republicans make this point when this thing has become such a soap opera? It sounds like some of their folks are trying to replace John and Kate +8. And if you look at 2012, you have Ensign and Sanford, obviously, away from the picture now. You had Bobby Jindal of Louisiana, the governor, had very poor notices because of that response to State of the Union. Newt Gingrich has had to backtrack from some of his comments about Supreme Court nominee Sotomayor. And John Huntsman, the governor of Utah, nothing happened bad for him except that President Obama's made him ambassador to China, so he's out of the picture. They'll find somebody.
Can Governor Sanford survive this and stay governor?
I think at the end of his tour, we're going to find out whether people regard him as Bill Clinton or Eliot Spitzer, Katie.
All right. Jeff Greenfield, as always, Jeff, thank you so much. Now, turning to health care, President Obama is determined to get the cost down, and one way to do that is to eliminate fraud. Today, as Nancy Cordes tells us, dozens of people were arrested in an alleged scheme to defraud Medicare of $50 million.
Some of the suspects were living the high life. CBS News got exclusive video of this arrest in a wealthy Detroit suburb. In all, 53 people in Detroit, Miami, Denver, and Fresno were charged with bilking Medicare.
I am totally innocent.
According to federal indictments unsealed today, the suspects billed Medicare for injection and infusion therapy that was either medically unnecessary or never administered. They offered cash kickbacks to patients to play along and invented sham companies to launder the money.
This is not a victimless crime. Every person who struggles to pay for health care benefits, every older person who worries about Medicare's ability to cover them, these are all victims.
Watchdog groups estimate that anywhere from 3 to 20% of all Medicare spending is fraudulent. That's up to $70 billion a year wasted. And Medicare spends less to combat fraud than many private insurers, says Mark McClellan, who ran the massive program under President Bush.
Doctors billing for more than 24 hours a day worth of services. That should be a red flag. To detect those kinds of problems, though, you need good computer systems in place.
Administration officials admit the $50 million scam they stopped today is just a drop in the bucket, but they say they wanted to send a message that they plan to crack down on these crimes. Katie?
Nancy Cordes, thanks very much. Turning now to the crisis in Iran. Riot police once again flooded the streets of Tehran today and quickly overwhelmed protesters who had gathered outside Parliament. With no Western TV cameras left, the only images are provided by cell phone video. Mir Hossein Mousavi, the defeated presidential candidate who initially led the protests, has not been heard from in a week. But today his wife posted a message online blasting the government for acting as if it had imposed martial law. Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader toughened his stand today, saying he won't give in to pressure from those who want a new presidential election. President Obama's response to the government crackdown has been criticized by some Republicans as timid. Today, in an exclusive interview with CBS News, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair came to his defense, saying he believes the protesters understand the tough position the president is in.
I don't think any of those people out in the street in Iran, who incidentally are utterly in touch through the internet and elsewhere with the modern world, I think they will completely understand that he's trying to manage a situation in which he obviously is supportive of them, but doesn't want to end up in a situation where his attack on the regime is then used as a reason to act against them.
For more of my extended conversation with Tony Blair, you can go to our website at cbsnews.com. Meanwhile, coming up next, right here on the CBS Evening News, an inside look at the drug trade that fuels the Taliban and the new strategy to destroy it. Now to the war on terror. For years, the U.S. military tried to cut the Taliban's money supply by destroying Afghanistan's poppy fields. But today, Special Envoy Richard Holbrooke told Congress that that was a failure. So now the U.S. is shifting its target from the farmers to the drug lords. Our chief investigative correspondent, Armin Katayan, has exclusive information about the latest arrest.
Handcuffed and surrounded by agents from the Drug Enforcement Administration, Haji Bajko landed at Andrews Air Force Base early this morning, indicted on federal drug charges tied to his alleged financing of the Taliban. Bajko's capture marks the latest success in a bold strategy in the war on terror. The use of crime-fighting techniques like this undercover sting operation by DEA agents to hunt down major drug traffickers. The goal, to cut off the $500 million a year traffickers pay the Taliban to run their heroin labs and smuggle drugs out of the country.
When you make major drug seizures in or around Afghanistan, that's denied revenue for the Taliban.
Mike Braun recently retired as Director of Operations for the DEA. He told CBS News DEA presence on the ground in Afghanistan has surged from just 13 agents a year ago to more than 70 this fall.
It's the largest overseas expansion that I know of that the agency's ever undertaken.
A major policy shift, Mike.
It's got to be.
We all think of them as holy warriors. And in fact, when you examine their activities at the ground level, they really behave like criminals.
Using lessons learned battling drug kingpins in places like Colombia, the DEA, with help from U.S. military and Afghan police, has quietly captured at least a half dozen of what it calls high-value targets, slipping them into this country to stand trial under a far-reaching 2005 federal narco-terrorism law.
These guys are the Sopranos of the opium trade. If they're greedy, if they're power-hungry, if they have vices, law enforcement can exploit that.
Haji Baz Muhammad is one of the 5 founding fathers of the Taliban. After his capture, he pled guilty to importing millions of dollars worth of heroin into the U.S. He's now in federal prison. Then there's Haji Juma Khan, who ran his billion-dollar-a-year drug cartel out of this travel agency here in Quetta, Pakistan. Khan lived in this compound nearby, one of 200 homes he is said to own around the world. Last week, however, after being caught in a DEA trap in Indonesia, Khan was in federal court in Manhattan, facing charges he helped finance the Taliban.
What is important is the fact that it sends a clear message. You can be investigated, you can be convicted, and you can be locked up for the rest of your life.
Brought to justice in the one place that remains beyond the control of Afghan drug lords like Haji Bajko, U.S. Federal Court. Armin Katayan, CBS News, New York.
Turning to Iraq now, insurgents have stepped up attacks as U.S. forces prepare to pull out of major cities. Today, a bomb hidden in a vegetable cart exploded in a crowded market in Baghdad's Sadr city. At least 61 people were killed, more than 100 wounded. The U.S. military insists the withdrawal from those cities will be completed next Tuesday. Coming up next, an exclusive inside look at who's deciding who will get billions of stimulus dollars. Now the latest on Monday's deadly Washington, D.C. subway crash. The fire department put out this video showing the first response to the collision that killed 9 people. And investigators said today sensors on the track, which are supposed to tell operators when a train is in the way, may not have been working properly. From CBSMoneyWatch.com, the Federal Reserve decided today to keep interest rates at their record low levels to try to spur the economy. The Fed says it sees signs the recession is easing, and it says the stimulus should help get the economy growing again. In the meantime, all that government spending is shifting the center of economic power in this country to Washington. Anthony Mason continues our series, Life After Debt.
The Digital Bridge Company is trying to bring broadband internet technology to the small town of Appomattox, Virginia. But in this economy, financing is not easy to find.
It has been incredibly hard to raise venture capital, and only the best business plans get funded.
Private investment into these kinds of deals has collapsed from $30 billion in 2007 to only an estimated $18 billion this year. With the American banking system rocked by the economic crisis, this is no longer the country's financial center. American businesses looking for capital are turning from Wall Street to K Street.
Very simply, Washington has become the financial capital of the United States.
International business consultant Ian Bremer.
Washington is going to drive who the winners and losers are going to be out of this crisis, and that really changes the ballgame.
These were awarded for 5 years.
So businesses are signing up for matchmaking sessions to link them with government agencies giving out stimulus money.
Wherever the government is actually where you need to be.
Or heading to K Street, headquarters for Washington's high-powered lobbyists.
So they're coming to you and saying, how do we qualify?
Thomas Hale Boggs Jr. is often called the king of K Street.
How many lawyers do you have?
600 and some.
600 and some.
Yeah. His firm, Patton Boggs, is getting clients they've never had before. Companies, small towns, even banks who want a piece of the action.
If the government's the bank, how much money is there in the bank?
The total pie is way over $2 trillion. That's a big bank.
It's a big bank.
We're now at $219 million in outlays.
Government officials like these at the Transportation Department can't give it out fast enough.
$48 billion needs to get out within 2 years.
The money does come with conditions.
We aren't just standing on the street handing out money to anyone.
But if Wall Street's vice was greed, Washington's vice is politics.
It's not just about what Obama wants, it's also about what Congress wants, and that creates inefficiencies, it slows down the process.
How long is this going to be the financial capital?
Well, I would say that it's going to certainly be the financial capital for the next 5, 6, 7 years.
And Digital Bridge is banking on it.
We have currently 150 plus applications that we're getting ready to submit, and they total for about $40 to $50 million in stimulus funding.
America's financial landscape is changing, and so is the economy's power structure. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Washington.
And tomorrow, with consumer spending down, what Sears is doing to get you to open your wallet again. And for more on this series online, you can go to cbsmoneywatch.com. Turning to Hollywood now, where there will be twice as many choices next year for a Best Picture Oscar. The Motion Picture Academy has raised the number to 10 for the first time since 1943. The idea is to give more films a shot at an Oscar and boost TV ratings for the awards ceremony. Coming up next, America's top teen reaching amazing heights. In 1999, a doctor working at the South Pole discovered she had breast cancer. A rescue was out of the question, so Dr. Jerry Nielsen Fitzgerald treated herself with drugs delivered by airdrop. Months passed before she could be flown out. The cancer was in remission until a few years ago, but Dr. Fitzgerald lost her battle yesterday. She was 57 and living in Massachusetts. And finally tonight, he's America's top teen, at least if it's measured by the heights he's reached. He's climbed to the top of 7 of the world's tallest summits. If leaving the sunny beaches of Malibu for the sub-zero snow peaks of Nepal sounds strange, you're spot on. At 17, California native Johnny Strange is the youngest person ever to conquer the tallest summits on each of the 7 continents.
I went out, said I was going to do it, didn't care who said I wasn't, and then did it.
So we felt it was only fitting to trot Johnny 10 flights up to the roof of our own CBS broadcast center. It's a pretty view, but not quite as pretty as you've seen, right? What is it about climbing that is so exciting to you?
You know, climbing just really, caught my attention. I just loved it. I love the adventures.
With Dad as his climbing companion, Johnny had already scaled his first summit, Antarctica's 16,050-foot Vinson Massif, by the time he was 12.
A lot of people didn't think I would get to the top, but after that, I really wanted to climb Mount Everest. You know, that was my dream.
5 years and 5 other summits later, Johnny's treacherous trek up 29,029 feet of Mount Everest was underway, a journey that's claimed 216 lives.
On Mount Everest, I turn around and a big rock came shooting really fast down close to me, which was pretty scary.
Have you ever seen that movie Cliffhanger?
No.
You shouldn't see that.
Yeah.
But there was actually a method to Johnny's mountain madness, a chance to turn an adventure into activism. When you reached the top of Mount Everest, you actually posted 2 signs. What did they say?
One said stop genocide, and then the other said cure Parkinson. So I want to try to do more adventures, you know, to raise awareness and money for those causes.
Johnny's wasting no time planning that next odyssey.
I have a few things in mind, but I'm just going to figure that out over the summer.
After all, who wants to say they've peaked at 17? And that is the CBS Evening News for tonight. I'm Katie Couric in New York. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow from Washington. Good night.